Hello, and welcome to day 2 of Adobe DITAWORLD 2023. I'm very pleased to be giving your opening keynote address today. And we're going to be talking about structured content horizons and mapping the future. So I'm Rob Hanna. I am the principal and founder of Precision Content in Toronto. And I've been at this for quite some time as a technical writer and information architect, and now a business owner and entrepreneur. I've been in this business now for going on 30 years. And for 10 of those last years, I've been assembling a team of expert writers, architects, trainers, developers, project managers, such that we can help to serve medium and large enterprises as they go through their journey of digital transformation, helping to assist them in building better information solutions, more robust content operations, and better effect for their users, their staff, and their partners. So today, we're going to be talking quite a bit about emerging technology that has a lot of us interested in wanting to understand where it is and where we're going from here. And of course, that's generative AI, chat GPT, and the like. And what impact is it going to have on our profession as technical communicators, as trainers, as Marcom writers, and the like? Where are we going with it? And to that end, looking at how we prepare for it, or how we continue to evolve or prepare for it. And really, it comes down to, well, it's in our name, precision content. And not just precision in the technology or even the models, but even in the way we write that content, right? So how do we rise to the challenge to help transform your content to make it better ready for emerging technologies? And really, this is all about serving the new enterprise, the exponential organization, whose mission it is to disrupt their own industries, right? And this is done through information enablement, by making information readily available, not just to customers or even partners, but to staff and people within your organization that need to have access to the best information possible about your products and services. And to this end, I've been following new advances that we've been making in chatbot space, AR, VR, and of course voice, and how it promises to disrupt our industry, disrupt content in general, and really change the way we interact with information about the world around us. And back in 2018, Gartner was really leaning in to chatbots and their close cousin voice interfaces like Siri and Alexa and the like. And that they predicted that by 2020, we would see a huge uptake of chatbot adoption by large and medium enterprises. And that by 2021, the most enterprises would be completely immersed in chatbots to serve the information needs of their organization and their customers. And this is where I do that record scratch thing. No, didn't happen. Why? Well, I'm going to suggest that the technology, even back then, was pretty good, but our content wasn't ready for it. And I think this is really key to understanding, where are we and why why are we not further ahead in adopting AI or working with AI with information? And it comes down to the content that we have to work with and that AI has to learn from in order to be able to serve us. So the technology, like I say, has been around and it's been in development for some time. In fact, in 2019, OpenAI made its announcements about its first generative AI language models that were capable of some pretty impressive um, creative writing, if you will, being able to write children's stories and Christmas carols and all the rest of it, if you will. Very, very impressive results. But they weren't ready to release it to the general public. And again, not because the technology wasn't impressive, but because the impact that this technology could have on our society, and particularly at that particular point in time, that fear was that by releasing this engine, this model to the public, that it could cause more harm than good. And then, of course, that all changed in November 2022 when they did decide to release ChatGPT, GPT 3.5, to a unsuspecting public, really not ready for this technology and what it really means for society, for our profession, for our livelihood, for our jobs, right? And so it's been raising a lot of questions, a lot of concerns in most people's heads within our industry, to be quite frank. In fact, when I first saw it back in December, my business partner sent me an email and said, I have to check out this insane tech. I was a little skeptical, but I did. And I fell off my chair. Even though I've been talking about chatbots and voice for 5-6 years, I wasn't ready for this, right? And it wasn't really what it was saying so much as how it was saying it. So any of you who have children who are entering adulthood now will think back to their own past as children growing up before the internet. We had an amazing information resource at our disposal, most of us. That was Dad. Dad could answer any question we had for him, and he did with a plum answer just about any question, whether it had to do with medicine or geopolitics or geography or creative writing. He just knew it all. And well, um, so we thought, right? Of course, when we're raising our own children decades later, we realized that our fathers really didn't know as much as maybe we thought they did, because our children were constantly debunking our beliefs, pulling out their cell phone and Google and saying, "Dad, no, you don't really know what you're talking about." And well, I had to learn to adapt to that. Having so much information, readily available information at our fingertips, really changed, tipped the scales of fatherhood for me, anyway. But now, when we move towards ChatGPT, like I said, when I first saw it, it really threw me for a loop. And again, not for what it said, but how it said it. I've been more accustomed to interacting with chatbots where it would ask clarifying questions or it would be very, very narrowly scoped to respond to my queries and my questions. And most of the time, it just wouldn't know the answer and it would say so. but not ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT was ready to give you a pat answer at the click of a button. And if it didn't quite know everything, well, kind of like Dad, it just filled in the holes and made it all sound very plausible. And that was, to me, kind of terrifying, but also fascinating. Realizing that as we evolve, as we go forward working with AI and working with information differently, we're moving towards voice, right? Where we're walking around with AI in an earpiece. And what does that mean for us? It means that we won't have the benefit of a screen full of search results to help us answer questions in our day-to-day. We're going to be reliant on our systems, our machines, to be able to give us the best possible answer in one earful when we ask a question. And maybe it won't always know the answer correctly, but it'll give us a good enough answer. So, when we look to the GPT, of course, the best way to find out, well, hey, GPT, tell us about what we're in for and what we have to look forward to, and how are we going to help our customers and our clients and our staff adapt to this new technology. Well, I think I'm alluding to it a little bit so far, and we've got a bit of a long game here in developing trust. But you may be surprised to see that already ChatGPT has come quite a long way in helping to establish trust in the information that it presents to us in terms of consistency, clarity, some degree accuracy. And then we start moving into areas where we still have some room to develop, such as being able to ascertain the credibility of the source. Where did you learn that from, ChatGPT? Transparency. Do you really know that, or did you make that up? And then, of course, emotional connection. But we can see that as we look to build next generation of these tools, we will find ways to improve on the credibility of the source, and even on its transparency, and even perhaps on creating greater emotional connections, which is what we need to be able to better trust the information that we get from our AI sources. Now, when we look to chat and voice, we have a couple of different factors that we need to take into consideration. Of course, for written communication, language proficiency and format and structure are also very, very important to add credibility to written communication. But again, I want to suggest the long game is really voice, oral communication, where we also need to learn to be able to tune our content for tone and voice, and find some way to find nonverbal cues to better improve the trustworthiness of that information, to ensure that we really do believe it, whether that means avatars or interacting with information in AR or VR type of experiences, where we need to have information that we can really trust very, very well. And all with the view to moving towards a more omni-channel world. ChatGPT and its ability to be able to rewrite content, recast content, has some pretty amazing implications for us. Being able to create hyper-personalized content from the same source. If you've ever tried working with ChatGPT and said, hey, rewrite my resume in the voice of Ernest Hemingway, or give me a my mother's birthday card, turn it into a sonnet by William Shakespeare, and you'll see that it actually does quite a good job at being able to recast the tone and the voice of that content. Now imagine being able to do that at a hyper personalized rate, being able to personalize the tone and voice to much more focused and tighter segmented audiences with things like ChatGPT. Being able to improve things such as online and AR voice and augmented reality type of experiences, but still being able to source it from a single source of truth, which is still ultimately necessary to ensure the trustworthiness of that information as we move across different modalities. So I think we've got some very, very exciting things in our future that we need to learn how to better architect solutions for and move forward with. And of course, if you're a technical communicator like me, and maybe you've invested 20 years in something like I don't know, XML DITA, you might have questions such as, well, is DITA even still relevant with AI and generative AI being able to produce content for us? Well, good news is I think it does. I think that DITA has a very strong place. And, I think we only need to look at some of the problems we're experiencing already with generative AI, where we see a lot of work going into refining the algorithms and machine learning around generative AI. But also realizing that we need to spend a lot more time cleaning up data and ensuring that these algorithms have good data to work from. Garbage in, garbage out never was as important as it is today with the content that we look to feed our artificial intelligence systems with. In fact, we're seeing a real difference between academia and industry, where industry such as Tesla and others are putting a lot more effort into cleaning their data, scrubbing their data, improving the quality of their data. And that's where DITA, XML structured authoring, really has a play here. Is that by focusing on improving the precision of our content using frameworks such as DITA, we help to really enrich our information much more than on any other sort of content platform, whether it's JSON or Markdown or other desktop publishing tools. We have the ability to create highly precise content that we're able to not just be able to take the text and deliver it to machines, but also extract more meaning from that content, from the metadata and the structures underlying that content. So I've got a short list here of some of the things that really help to contribute to making this move from our more traditional delivery models to AI-driven models, such as structured authoring for ensuring consistency, information typing for being able to help convey the intended reader response for information to AI, semantic tagging to improve or eliminate ambiguity, content chunking, allowing us to modularize this content much better and then be able to manipulate it far more effectively. And of course, metadata and labeling, and the fact that even working with an open standard, meaning that we can integrate or more easily integrate our standard XML with other information sources and other formats. So if you've done any amount of reading into how ChatGPT works, you may understand already that it's all about the math. It's all about taking segments of text and comparing them against vectors so that AI can refine and predict not just words, but letters that follow or naturally follow one after the next based on a user's inquiry into the system, into the prompts, right? And this means that text that we use is used to feed and build out large language models. In fact, presently, GPT does not understand structure, does not understand XML. It doesn't understand underlying semantics. It consumes text. Right? There's a lot of work to see how can we leverage some of this metadata along with the text to create richer experiences, to be able to convey more information that is only implied in the structure, in the presentation of that information. So to solve that, we need to be able to make better use of our content models, of our metadata, of our structures to provide additional information to just the written word on the page, but more information about how that information is structured, because that structure in itself has meaning. Consider, how do we break down a table into narrative content, into something that can be used in voice and can be conveyed in voice, and that we can use to help build out these strings that inform generative AI programs. Can we take our XML and adapt it to feed knowledge graphs and larger content or knowledge models to be able to get even more intelligence out of our content? And to that end is where we really look to working with leading edge or bleeding edge content management systems and CCMSs such as Adobe Experience Manager Guides to really support rich content models, specialized XML, very rich metadata handling that will allow us to enrich the content we already have to be able to provide even deeper meaning into the content that we provide to AI. So I want to take a little bit step back to last year about this time, when I had, again, the pleasure of giving a keynote. This time it was on microcontent, structure, precision, and publishing, including chatbots. So I already had an opportunity to sort of roll with this whole chatbot idea and the importance of how we move towards that, and continue to build momentum with that. So I think just a little bit of a recap even on microcontent, what I mean by microcontent in this is helping to build the structures for content that is better able, more flexible, more intuitive to be able to build and maintain not just our current delivery channels and modalities, but brand new modalities such as AI and voice and content as a service type of delivery. So microcontent is about one primary idea. It's easily scannable, it's labeled or titled, and appropriately written and formatted for use anywhere and any time it's needed. No, Zoolander. It's not microcontent just because it's small. In fact, intelligent microcontent really relies on 4 key areas. to be able to ensure that we've got good micro content that we can use. So focus, meaning that we focus on writing about one thing. We can focus our information in our writing in micro content so that we can more easily unpack information for publishing and for working with AI type of interfaces. We have function, which means that we classify information according to intent. This is an important consideration for understanding, how do we need to write our content such that we can more easily inform chatbot type of experiences and voice type of experiences with structured content. And of course, we've got structure. And we're at DITAWorld, so presumably you already have a good idea what structured content is. And Tony Self's description is really, really quite apt. But, I think it's important to call out that structured content and XML are not the same thing. In fact, structured authoring predates XML and what we know today is structured authoring by decades. And it's interesting to me is this exhibit on this slide here. If you go to Google Scholar and you look up Robert Horn and information mapping, you'll be able to see the scan of structured content authored on a typewriter. Right? I mean, I've seen lots of technical writers use an XML editor like a typewriter. He was using a typewriter like an XML editor, so it's structured editor. Anyway, fascinating. But important to understand that structured authoring isn't just about the markup, isn't just about the technology, but it's about the words and how we write that information, how we organize that information, how we structure it. And then context, of course, is that we need to be able to take that information and take it apart and put it back together again. So working with traditional documents and with CCMSs, we have a lot of metadata that we can leverage to be able to enrich micro content such that we can deliver it and use it in content as a service type delivery and be able to serve many more channels for omni-channel type delivery, where we can take the content payload, we can take its metadata, and we can package it and then deliver it using content as a service type delivery, where we can be feeding any number of different types of distribution channels and publishing solutions. So what's next for us? And what does being ready actually mean? Well, looking at Adobe Experience Manager guides, we really understand that this is a tool that really does support specialization and rich content models if we build them. If we build those models, then we've got tools to support them and to be able to really leverage that content at publishing time to be able to serve many new channels for that content and be able to serve out content that we can use to train generative AI, we can use to distribute through content as a service type delivery while still maintaining our traditional delivery channels for that content. Our journey towards micro-content is simply the next step in the evolution of intelligent content needed to support omni-channel delivery. So I want to thank you all for your time today. And if you do have any questions, please drop me a line. You can look me up on LinkedIn or send me an email at Precision Content. I look forward to talking to you again soon and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thanks for your time today.